The year was 1347, and Europe was alive with bustling markets, the clang of blacksmiths' hammers, and the laughter of children spilling out of narrow cobblestone streets. Life, though harsh for many, was steady. But then came whispers from distant ports, tales of a strange sickness aboard merchant ships from the east. Few believed it at first. I was a young apprentice in a small Italian port town when the first galleys arrived. They drifted into the harbor like ghosts, their sails tattered, their decks eerily silent. When the dock workers climbed aboard, they found only corpses or men barely alive, their bodies marked with angry black swellings under their arms and at their groins. The smell of death clung to the air like smoke. At first, the elders said it was a punishment from God. Others swore it was a curse carried on the wind or poison spread by foreigners. But the truth was crueler. The Black Death had come, and it would not stop. Within weeks, the plague devoured our town. It started with fever and chills, then the telltale buboes, swollen lumps that turned dark as ink. Some victims coughed blood, their faces ashen, their breath ragged. The priests walked the streets swinging incense, muttering prayers over the dead. The graveyards overflowed. Soon, even the healthy fled, fathers abandoning children, wives abandoning husbands, desperation tearing apart families like old cloth. I remember the carts rolling through the squares at dawn. "Bring out your dead," the drivers shouted, their voices hoarse. Doors creaked open, and limp, shrouded figures were dragged into the street. By evening, the pits outside the city walls yawned wide with hundreds of bodies. The smell was unbearable, rot, smoke, and fear. But the plague did not stay confined to our town. It swept across Europe like wildfire. Florence, Paris, London all fell. Trade routes that once carried spices and soap now ferried death. Entire villages vanished, fields lay untended, their crops withering. Wolves prowled empty streets where once children had played. And yet, amid the horror, strange things happened. Some people formed flagellant bands, whipping themselves bloody in hopes of earning God's mercy. Others turned on outsiders, Jews, travelers, anyone different, accusing them of poisoning wells. But there were also acts of quiet kindness. A baker leaving loaves at the doors of the sick, a nurse holding the hand of a dying child, even when she knew she might be next. Years later, when the plague finally loosened its grip, having killed an estimated 1/3 to 1/2 of Europe's population, the world was forever changed. Labor shortages gave peasants new bargaining power. Old feudal bonds weakened. Medicine and science began to question old superstitions. Art and literature turned darker, more reflective, haunted by the memory of so much loss. I am old now, but I can still smell the incense in the streets, still hear the distant echo of the death cart wheels. The Black Death was not just a plague of the body, it was a reckoning of the soul, a shadow that stretched across generations. And though centuries have passed, the whispers of that terrible time still linger, reminding us of how fragile and how resilient human life can be.